Welcome to our Industrial Advisors podcast. You have Bill Condon and Matt McGregor, and we have an awesome guest today. We have Travis Hale, who's a partner with Panattoni. We go way back with Travis. I remember our golf trip that we took in Whistler that we took a seaplane to, and I was like nestled up next to Travis. I was scared as you could be. Like, we're up in this little plane.
Can't imagine you in a little plane.
I hate heights, and so we've bonded ever since.
We did. And we did a couple's
You
massage.
were hugging him in the lap by the time he landed?
I was like, yes. Yeah, I was a little worried.
That was a first-class event, though. I'd never experienced anything that nice.
That was fun. I remember we saw a bear on the...
Saw a bear on the course.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a hole-in-one, I think, on that.
Sure.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Only if you threw the ball.
Yeah. But great to have Travis. Travis has been in the industry since 1998 and been a partner now at Panattoni for a few years. And Panattoni has been the most active developer. And I would also say very innovative in the sense that, like, you guys are hitting markets before a lot of your competitors do. And so some of that we'll want to talk about today. But Travis is also a friend. He lives with his family, native at Pierce County, and lives in Gig Harbor, and has a great wife and 2 daughters. And so, Travis, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
For sure. Like, maybe before we get started in the construction industry, tell us a little bit about your growing up, Travis. I know you played some football. Where'd you go to school? What sports did you play?
Oh, yeah, I was a local boy, and so I grew up in the South Sound, Parkland area, or Puyallup area, and went to high school down there, and then ended up going to college down there, and Pacific Lutheran University, played some football there, and did some track, and then after that graduated and did what most locals do, is they go work for Boeing. So I went and worked for Boeing for a couple years.
That.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
A
contract administrator. So learned the legalese a little bit there, got my taste, and then got into house flipping, and I grew up swinging the hammer, so it's in the family genes to build things.
Awesome.
And my uncle always yelled at me, as I'm moving an entire stack of 4x8 sheets of plywood. I don't want you to know how to do this. I want you to know why we're doing this. Why are we building homes? Why are we building spec homes? And somehow ended up in, as a merchant developer. So it must have planted a seed.
That's awesome. And where'd you meet your wife?
We met at PLU.
You did?
Yeah, we were friends first, and then ended up dating and got married right after college, and the rest is history. We've kind of bounced around, typical developer's life, had a lot of jobs, a lot of survival skills built, and finally landed back at Panattoni. Or not back, but at Panattoni.
And that's been an awesome partnership. I mean, to Bill's point, you guys have been one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic, builder out there, and certainly pioneering markets. You guys have gone into markets where we'll throw, other institutions, other developers, and they'll be like, whoa, that's way far out. And you guys seem to continue to knock it out of the park for taking that risk. What do you guys talk about? Like, tell us about that. How do you do that? How did you go into Frederickson, for example, first? What was the thought process there? Were you guys scared? You did the same thing in Sumner, I know.
Yep. We were the first to evolve down the Sumner way back. I wasn't at Panattoni then, but back in the previous cycle. And now we've gone out to Frederickson, and we've done some tertiary markets that way by taking a little bit of risk. I think it's, without giving away too many of the secrets, we're local. We don't fly in and get a tour by you guys. I'm out driving the area all weekend long with my family. So you just kind of watch what's going on. I grew up out in that area, the Frederickson area. I'm a Puyallup boy, so I saw that.
Yep.
As far as the north end goes, we see that just with the Boeing expansion. If you don't live here, you don't really understand where the people are at. And where the industry's at. Everyone talks about the J. Well, the J is actually expanded. It's a bigger, deeper J now out to Frederickson because of the Boeing and what Boeing's done for the area.
That's right. And tell us about that progression, because I feel like throughout our careers, and we've been in about the same time, I feel like it took forever for people to go down to Sumner. Like, people would go kicking and screaming, right? But they went down there because of the quality of assets. And I feel like it took most of our career to kind of push down into Puyallup area. And then all of a sudden, in the last 24 months, we're expanding. Not only is Frederickson, DuPont, and Lacey saturated, now we're jumping into Centralia and Winlock and all the way down.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like, what has happened in the last 24 months from a development perspective to change this so rapidly?
I think just land. How do you find land? How do you find available land that is zoned correctly, that you can do what you want on it, that the tenants are expecting? And that comes with employment as well. Where can I build the building I want, and where can I actually put people in it that are willing to work at my company? And understanding, where that's going, and the tenants knew it before we did. They're like, hey, I'd love to build a building there, but you can't fill it. I'm not going to put a building in Olympia right now. There weren't any workers. So, but as that expands to the south and to the north, you got to go find land, you got to go find employees, and then a municipality that's actually willing to, that wants you. We're putting a significant amount of risk and money into these facilities, as well as the local community. But if the community doesn't want you, then it's kind of difficult to do a deal there.
Yeah, well, you guys, again, we touched on it earlier, you guys have done a good job in a lot of markets being the first in, proving the market, and then a lot of groups follow.
Yeah,
right?
It's not fair.
But you get in at a better basis, right?
Yeah.
And so, you guys have done it in Frederickson, you've done it in Lacey, you've done it in DuPont. What's, as you go and we continue to, the market will continue to push south, right? The Windlock and Centralia, Chehalis. But what do you think about going east? What do you think about going north?
Yeah, as far as pushing into markets, we tiptoe into them, and it's not for lack of getting our lumps by going down there. In the previous cycle, I'd gone all the way to Centralia and Chehalis, and we never built down there, but we entitled them and we went there. This cycle, we're obviously pushing down into Centralia, Chehalis, and becoming more mainstream. Every cycle, you're gonna get bit somewhere, and towards the end, and where we got bit last time, we're definitely building into it this time. So Tumwater, Centralia, Chehalis, Marysville, Arlington, those are all getting built out up and down I-5. I strongly think we're going to need some sort of an Inland Empire type of a kick here.
Yes.
And we just tied up some acres, 118 acres over in Ellensburg. We'll see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, and you gotta
Secrets out, baby.
I got the flyer.
By the way,
right-
I knew about that.
Yeah.
got the flyer right here. So 118
Look at that.
acres. Where can you fit a big bomber? Where can you fit a big building that's going to employ a lot of people and bring in a lot of trade? And those are the areas you got to search for, is where you can put that footprint down.
Well, another bold move for you guys that I have a feeling is going to pan out just fine.
We hope so. Now we're not so arrogant about it. We would love to get a deal over there, and 118 acres in Ellensburg. Bring it. Rail served.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, rail served. Gosh, we got to talk.
Yeah, we got to talk.
That's awesome. Talk to us real quick about where we're at with Lacey, DuPont, and Lakewood. Seems like we're kind of nearing the end, maybe. Not a lot of development left. What do you see that market in the future? How much more growth, and where do we go from there?
Well, big bomber wise down in Lacey, you're kind of tapped out, and they've kind of gobbled up all the available properties. So now the service industries or the service providers are going to fill in. We've got our Lacey project, as well as Bridge has theirs, and in the 75,000 and under type of tenants down to 16,000 square feet. I think that market will mature that way. It's going to fill in with those smaller users. It just has to. And there's available land to do that for the next 4 or 5 years, but not the big bombers, which are the easy plays for us. Let's go put a lot of capital, deploy a lot of capital, hit a big tenant, and then move on down the road. It takes a lot of work to lease up, 5 tenants in a 130,000 square foot building. That has not been our cycle. When's the last business park you saw built? We don't do that.
Good
in the last 10 years. Yeah. Kent would love one, but there's no capital for it, and no one has the patience for it.
Right.
Yeah, and that big box market has remained really active. And so that kind of brings up the next question. During the pandemic, industrial kind of thrived, right? Because a lot of that was e-commerce driven. But how did you guys, like I know in Frederickson, you guys adjusted a site plan at the start of the pandemic, just to take some risk off the table. So talk about how you guys adjusted during the pandemic.
Yeah, well, like everyone, I'm sure we panicked really quick, stopped the presses and reevaluate every single site plan to take advantage of the new world, or what we thought the new world was going to look like, which was going to be more e-commerce, which was going to be, retail is as an industrial guy, I can say this, but retail's dying. So it's not that retail's dying, it's just the retail stores are dying. So where is that those goods are going to have to be delivered somewhere. Okay, that's going to be our industrial buildings, thank goodness. So how do we pivot to that? Where is a site plan that, say, is going to be functional obsolete? Typically as a spec or a merchant developer, we max coverage the site, and there's no trailer parking, and every square footage of a building counts. Well, now it's, what's a Class A product? It has trailer parking, it has good truck maneuvering. We've all been in those business parks that's like, geez, I'm having a hard time driving my Tahoe around here, let alone a 53-footer. Those buildings are going to become functionally obsolete. Those buildings, I will admit, we've built, but we are no longer building those. So Frederickson, we cut a building off and turned into trailer parking. our project in Lakewood. We had a 270,000 square foot building. On the other 4 acres, we had another 160 permitted. So we stopped, and it's all trailer parking. So trailer parking, Class A, you need trailer parking for Class A. The project that you brought a user or a purchase in for on Puyallup Logistics, we shrunk the size of that building. When does Panattoni shrink a building? We shrunk a building and created trailer parking. Guess what? You brought a buyer, so it's it's now attractive. So
that's right. Those were great strategic moves.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what's the furthest south and north spec buildings you guys have built?
Currently, north is Glacier Peak, up in Everett. And we now have a project in Marysville, which is only about 9 miles north.
Going spec?
Going spec.
Okay.
And then on south, Lacey, spec. And we would probably dip into Tumwater right now. Okay. The market is stretching that far.
Just out of curiosity, would you have built spec on your Maple Valley Highway 18 site had that not gone?
We were all in on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were all in going spec with that. That felt like a good play, being only 15 minutes off the valley floor.
Sure.
At that price point. It's arguably a very interesting play, and being a local, you realize on those early Saturday mornings, the Highway 18 cutoff to get to Snoqualmie Falls or Snoqualmie Pass to go skiing, someone's got to go out there.
That's
Zoned
right.
industrial.
Yeah.
Someone's got to go. So that site 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we've all looked at it, and it finally was time to do it. And luckily we did it and caught one. And anyway, it worked out really well. We did an Amazon deal out there.
That's awesome. So tell us about the future of buildings. I'm hearing that there's some guys going spec in the Inland Empire on 50-foot clear. So tell us about the state-of-the-art large box building, kind of greater than 800. If you were going to build it and you had it, not taken, but you were going to build it in our primary market, what would it look like today, and where's that going in the future?
I feel like, and you probably have the data better than I do, but I feel like our Boeing site, our Pacific Gateway site, our building 1, 340,000 square feet, we just said we're going 40-foot clear.
Yep.
And so I feel like it was the first 40-foot clear in our market. And that's really coming off just our calls with our equity partners and our other partners around the nation, what they're seeing, 50-foot clear. And we all of us partners got together on the call with Carl Panattoni talking about a 50-foot clear building that's going on in the IE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you had it here, you would do it. The location is right, but in Centralia, we're not building spec in Centralia yet. But if you were, you might
hit that.
You might hit that.
Yeah. Is there anything unique about the slabs today? They're different.
Well, you definitely, to go 50-foot clear, you're going to start dealing with ESFR, your sprinkler system. So you're going to have to do upgrades there, as well as your roof drains. You have interior roof drains, which all tenants don't like them. They're cost prohibitive too. So there's some trade-offs to go 50-foot clear. Your building starts ending up with a couple issues, even though it's a Class A building and people want it. We all talked about going from 30 to 32 to 30. Whatever happened to 34? No one ever built that. We went straight to 36. All about the equipment used to do it. Feels like only 20% of the tenants actually utilize it, but we still build it.
Yeah, of course.
Time will tell on the 50-foot. I think the truck courts, the maneuvering, that and trailer storage, those are all very important. Upgraded slabs are very important as well.
That's awesome. One more question I have to clarify, because I hit this probably once a month in my career. When you get a tenant that says, I have to have a 6-inch reinforced floor or 7-inch reinforced floor, talk to us about floor strength capacity, because I know that from what I understand, the subgrade is way more important, so the compaction of the quality of that soil.
Right.
You could have a 10-inch pour with reinforced if you have a crappy soil. So tell us about that. How do you maximize the strength of a floor, and what does that equate to in today's large spec buildings?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a lot of people catch on to, hey, I need a 7-inch reinforced floor, and they think that is the issue. It's actually the subgrade. Heck, you could have a 2-inch reinforced floor if you're on the perfect subgrade or on bedrock, and it would check the box. But these national guys come in, and that's what they want. So we'll do it for them. We'll try to explain to them it's not needed, and then if it becomes too excessive, then we don't really pay for that either, because it's not an improvement to our building. Our building is just fine. So we usually document it with a bunch of geotech and a bunch of consultants telling their guys, their operations guys, what really we need on this floor. But a lot of times it's just a buzzword they heard and they want to do it. They went to a forum and they want to do it. So,
right.
And the geotech's really the professional in the room when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, oftentimes that, just got to check that box, right, for the corporate users.
Yeah.
But this has been a lot of fun, very insightful, good stuff. It's hard to think that we're almost halfway through 2021, but it's been a great start, and you guys have been really successful.
Thank
and
you.
wish you nothing but the best moving forward as well. I'm sure we'll be entering some new markets here as we close out 21 and head into 2022.
Looking forward to it. Without the brokers, we don't have a business, so whatever we can do.
It's been a good partnership. We'll keep it going.
For sure. And thanks so much.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you for having me.